Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Pickle Piece. This is episode 4 with our very dear friend, KC Griffin. Welcome, KC.
Thank you very much. I think this is awesome.
Well, thank you. We're very excited that you're in the playroom at, the Peabody Place house.
That's
and
right.
It's sort of random, but it's
Here we
okay.
are.
It works.
Here we are.
Right?
We're making it work.
We make it work. That's right. Okay, so when people say your name, they say KC because you spell your name K-C. Right?
That space in the middle is key. K. Yeah.
K.
The space
but
is
there's
key.
no period.
There can be.
Oh.
There can be.
Okay.
But I feel like it's doing a little bit too much to do the period.
Does the K and C stand for something, right?
They do stand for something. It's Kenneth Cruz.
Kenneth Cruz.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like it. Named after your dad.
Named after my dad, and my dad wanted to call me initials because he wanted, this is just according to him, a good sports name. He wanted a good, chantable sports name. Not that I ever got in a situation where my name got to be chanted, but that's
I'm pretty sure you've been in some chanting.
That's the motivation for the initials anyways.
Okay, that is really interesting. I mean, I knew your dad, obviously. I've known Casey. We've known each other for a long, long time. And we'll come back to that for a second. But I knew your dad. He was a big, great athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Played tennis. Played
all the things, yeah.
All the things. And he had one son and one daughter.
So I'll just the whole family tree here. So I'm my dad's only biological son.
Yes.
I had a half brother and a half sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
So but you were the baby.
I was the baby.
By some years.
By a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so your dad has this baby, and he's like, he is going to be a rock star athlete. Like, he put that in the universe.
He put it in the universe.
And it came true.
Well, if I didn't like sports, that could have been complicated, but I might not even had a choice. He kind of just, sports was my world. Sports
was your world.
Yeah.
So what was the first sport you played?
I feel like a playroom basketball.
Oh yeah.
He built this little, backboard, and we used to until I was I don't know, old, just jam on that hoop. So we used to do that, and then ping pong was a thing, and yeah.
And then what about the first organized? Did you play Little League? Did you play flag football, or were you mostly playing individual type sports?
I definitely started with baseball. That was my main thing for a long time. I really wanted to play football, but what am I going to do on the football field? So
you're pretty damn fast.
I never really did the football thing.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
You're so smart. And I worried about this with my son. I'm like, I like your brain the way it is. And from what I've heard and seen.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And I'm just, truthfully, I'm a little bit more fragile than some of the guys you see playing football. So I don't think I would have done so well, but baseball and basketball for sure.
Okay.
And I did those for a long time until tennis just kind of randomly became a thing.
And so how old were you? How old were you when you started playing tennis? I think I know how old you were when I first met you, maybe, but.
At 10, I started going to, so my dad picked up tennis later in life. He played a lot of sports. He picked up tennis later in life, and he would go practice his serve at the tennis course near our house. And I started going with him, and he would practice his serve. And my baseball thing, he would let me do a home run derby while he practiced his serve.
So all the tennis balls were on the other side of the fence?
So my goal was to hit him over the fence as far as I could. There's no tennis really in that, but
was he upset that he had to undo that? Was that hard to undo at some point? Or
I think he was playing the long game. I think he knew that I'm not going to listen to anything for a long time, but I just got to have fun going to the tennis courts.
Absolutely. That was smart. Your dad was so smart.
And so I did that for a long time, and then this is a niche tennis fact. I liked baseball. I did the switch hit thing in baseball. And so until I was literally the summer before going into college, I did two hands on both sides in my tennis.
I'd forgotten that.
And that is not a good thing to do. You would never coach that, but I just did it.
Remember Catherine
Harrison? Yeah.
I mean, she was really
good
at that. But
yeah.
You're right.
It's more exception to the rule.
Yes, definitely more exception. But are you right-handed?
I'm right-handed. Yeah.
Okay. So until you started, so let's back up. So when you played junior tennis tournaments at the club where I was a teaching
U Club
at
and
the
all
University
that.
Club. I'll never forget, I was the tournament director sitting at the desk, just like I am now, and up walks KC Griffin.
I probably had this big bag.
You had a big bag. It was
for sure bigger than me.
were.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And I just remember you had the cutest smile, and you were so polite. You said, "Yes, ma'am." And I probably said, "Don't say that. It makes me feel old." And then I was young, and
yeah.
But now I am old, so it's okay. I feel like you were probably like 10 years old, but maybe you weren't that young.
To be honest, I was probably about 10, and I started playing tournaments. I feel like before I really know how to keep score and stuff. Like the thing about tennis, and I really appreciated this, generally, the folks that play, at least around here, are just nice, like sweetheart folks.
Yep.
So I could go sign up for a tournament, not knowing left from right or this rule from that rule. And kids who I was competing against would like show me the way. They would like help me with the score, and they would help me da-da-da-da-da. And so, I probably remember seeing you around 10 years old, only half knowing the score, but like folks like, and I'm going to shout out some folks like Michael Wills or Watson George.
Oh.
They literally would be like, no, it's 15:30. And I would be like, wait, what?
And you would be winning, and they would still
be helping me. So that
makes my heart so happy.
Yeah.
Those were some of my little junior people.
Totally.
But, because you know what? Fast forward a lot of years.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's something that's been really meaningful to me, at least in pickleball.
Agree.
Right?
Agree. And you would be a great example. I just referenced those guys who helped me kind of on the fly. I feel like you do that for everybody and their mom. I didn't know anything about the pickleball until you. I don't know how many people would say that. I didn't know anything about Taylor. I mean, anything about pickleball until Taylor showed me the ropes. I feel like you have shown so many people the ropes.
Well, that makes me very happy. Thank you. I am proud to say that, like, after 6 or 7 years, we have 3 indoor pickleball facilities within, we don't have any in the city of Memphis yet.
Call to action.
Yes, call to action, Paul Young. But we do have these outskirt facilities, and it's so, we were painting the lines in the parking lots, and at Riverdale on the concrete slab where they played bike polo or whatever you call that.
Yep.
And now we have choices not only for outdoor, but really we have more choices for indoor. Which
is an amazing thing, especially in that short amount of time. And you, and I'm not going to let this go lightly, you're a pioneer in that. You're a catalyst in that. You and some other, pickleball OGs, Rich and Tommy and all those folks, but especially you're like, you really led that charge so far. Well,
it's been such a great gift to me. And I felt like, even from just day one, I have been called for whatever reason to share that and that joy with other people. And so that's how we kind of got to this place is, I've met so many cool people and with interesting stories about their life leading up to this other life that includes pickleball, because it kind of takes over in some regard your life.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
Okay, so you grow up playing junior tennis in Memphis, and you didn't live in Memphis.
I didn't live in Memphis. I lived in Millington. Finish your question. Sorry.
No. I just remember you traveling to the University Club.
Yeah, it felt like a travel.
And I thought Millington was far away too then, and now it's
totally.
But
yeah. But so this is interesting, and if I'm taking this in a direction that's different, just stop me. So growing up playing baseball and basketball, that's kind of football too. That's what you do in Millington. Those are like the 3 things, and you know what you're going to get there, and it's good stuff. Those sports are great, but you know what you're going to get. And so when my dad started playing tennis, and he was traveling to Memphis to play with different guys and things, I didn't know anything about this. And so as I started traveling to tournaments, it just it really opened my eyes to a different culture and a different sport and a different group of people and just a different way of being that was far from Millington, in that it wasn't around the corner, but half an hour away, there was this different world that I didn't grow up with and I didn't know anything about. And then when I got exposed to it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is amazing because in baseball, you get 3 or 4 bats a game. And in tennis, you're telling me I get to be at bat every single point. Okay, I like that.
Yes.
And then 2, you go to places like U Club or even Left Twitch back then, and it's it's nice people, it's nice facilities, it's great competition. You get to play so much. I'm thinking, who wouldn't like this?
And as competitive as you are, because I know you well, and you are a fierce competitor, which I want to come back to that also. But it is different to play an individual sport with that kind of fire than it is to, certainly you were motivating your basketball teammates, you were motivating your baseball teammates. But when you're out there by yourself, it's really hard. And so if you don't have that drive and that desire and that fire, it can be really lonely.
I totally agree.
Yeah. And then you get then you get through junior tennis, which is fun, lonely-ish. I mean, you probably maybe like me had pen pals that you were letters to and stuff, right? Yeah. I mean, we had all these friends all over the country, which was cool.
Yeah.
And then you decide to play college tennis. And so tell me about that experience versus your experience on the junior tennis circuit.
So I have totally loved college tennis. Not everyone loves it because you really, when you go from junior tennis to college tennis, at least for myself, like junior tennis felt like a competitive hobby. College tennis felt like the thing around which I have to organize my life. And for me, that was awesome. Like I was totally happy to do that. I loved playing tennis. I loved being around the guys on the team. I loved competing and, developing and blah, blah, blah.
So tell me more. Hold on. Back up for a second. So you went to college as a scholar athlete to the University of Memphis.
Yes.
Right? You're studying what?
Economics.
Okay. So there's a certain amount of time that is going to have to be dedicated to your studies, right? And obviously your studies are important because if you don't maintain your grades, then you can't play tennis, right? But tennis in college, would you say it took more time? Like you said, you arranged your life around tennis. Why? Did you have morning practice? Did you have, what all did it involve for you?
Definitely morning practice. And my experience as a junior player was like a couple of practices a week for an hour or an hour and a half. And so that was like a Tuesday, Thursday thing for however many years. Every now and then you take a private lesson and that's like rounds out a full week. Well, that's like only Tuesday in college. Right. There's like the NCAA rule, I think, is 20 hours max of practice, organized practice in a week for college athletes. At least for tennis, it was when I was playing. But that maximum is really like a minimum. You're never not practicing 20 hours a week. And so that adjustment in some ways was big and difficult to go from 2 hours a week to 20 hours a week. I'm kind of exaggerating on the two, right. 2 or 3 or whatever.
Yeah, twice or 2 or 3 times a week. It's especially because you're having to travel some distance now for your junior tennis practices because that was not available in where you were living.
Exactly. But it was a big time and energy and just difference to go from my junior tennis life to the college tennis life. And to be honest, the first year of doing it was so fun, but my body was so what is going on? Oh. And so it was really difficult for me to keep my energy and my health up. But you like anything else, you get used to it. And then all the things were good. And then not just fun, but my body was stronger and it was like.
So you built up this resistance and you became more, just like anything else, I guess you train your brain and your body.
Totally.
To take on whatever it is that's necessary to perform or compete or study or work or whatever it is in life. So that's interesting because those are the kind of things I think about when I think about sports and athletes and some of the things that you take away from your sport into your life. So if there was something, at that age, that sounds like a big time management alone. Just the time management piece was probably a lot. I don't know how much you had to study in high school, but probably not the amount that you did in college to study economics and balance the tennis.
Yeah, I mean that piece is like an adulting piece.
Yeah.
That is a big adjustment for myself for sure. And in most 18-year-olds trying to figure out how to budget their time to work out in the morning, get enough sleep and work out in the morning and eat your breakfast and go to your class and do your homework and then go to practice and then hang out with your friend or your girlfriend or just trying to do all the things.
Right. Be social.
And that I don't know how you call that, but that the time management, the trade-offs of wanting to do this, and college can look like this if this is or it can look like this, and maybe I want some combination, and that figuring that out is that's like a big step from 18 to adult.
To 18,
yeah.
18 to 18,
yeah.
and then 20, and 20. I mean, by the time you get out of college, you're still only just 21 or 22. I remember saying, and I've always said, I got to go to all the parties once because all my friends went 4 times to that same formal or that same theme party or whatever. I did get to go to everything at least once, because we were traveling so much, and that was okay with me because it was the trade-off. I didn't need to go to all those parties. I didn't need to go 4 times, but I did not feel like I missed out.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I totally relate to that. I do feel like I would have missed out if I couldn't check any of those boxes, if it was just tennis and only tennis all the time.
Right.
But just doing a little bit of other stuff, I feel like it was good to get the variety, and it was a good reinforcement. I really love tennis. I like social and the party, but I think I love tennis.
Yeah.
And all that comes with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the friends, your teammates become like family.
Totally.
But then you have other friends outside of your team, which is nice and refreshing at times because you do spend a lot of quality time on those van rides. I don't know about y'all, but we were not flying to any of our
we were not
college
flying.
events.
We were not flying. We were just
they probably are these days, but
they probably are these days. We were just scrounging for whatever Enterprise white van could scrounge.
Totally, 100%. And Subway. I have not eaten at Subway since 1994.
I'm pretty sure it's still on my hand.
I smell it. I'm like, I can't go back.
I think it's still on my hand.
Loved it. He loved it. He always wanted to go to Subway.
Same. We felt like Lenny's was oh man, we're living good if we had a Lenny's, but it was mostly Subway.
Yeah. Okay, so then you go to college and you graduate from the University of Memphis. You have this economic degree, and you're I'd be curious. Did you feel like you were a better tennis player 4 years later than you were as a freshman?
No doubt about it.
No doubt, right?
And this is just an interesting trajectory of Memphis tennis. I got recruited to Memphis as a scholarship player, and University of Memphis team was at this level.
Yep.
When I was 18, and then credit to Coach Goebel and just the program and all that stuff. By the time I was 22 and I was a senior, the level went from here to here.
Sure did.
And I feel for sure if when I was 18, the level was where it was when I was 22, I don't think Memphis would even have considered someone like me. But you get into a program and then you start getting all these good players from all over the world, and you just naturally level up with them.
And doesn't that feel like such a huge contribution that you've made and maintained? Because Memphis is still very, Paul Goebel, the coach for many, many years. What years were you there? 2008
to 12.
Okay. So I had 1 year of overlap as the women's assistant, right? Paul Goebel did an amazing job, as did Lee Taylor Walker with the women. My experience at Virginia was very similar. We were terrible. And by the time we graduated, we were top 25.
Yeah.
But you leave that legacy sort of behind. Yeah. Now, like you said, they get higher recruits and they get people. We didn't have international players then, but I'm much older, but now they have international potential and all this other, and you look back and you're pretty proud.
That's
you
awesome.
Should be proud.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
You should be very proud.
Just to be a part of it. I can this professional tennis player, Joe Salisbury. He's one of the best doubles players in the world. And he played at University of Memphis. And, a Joe Salisbury level tennis player and a me tennis player is just different worlds. And so to be on a team with guys as good as Joe and better as, I think that was great. And then whatever contributions you can make is great. But just to be is awesome.
Is awesome. So you graduate, and do you continue playing tennis at that time?
No. So this is a bummer with tennis. I had this hand surgery after the first semester of my senior year. And, you know, I feel like my stock was kind of going in a good way, improving. And I had some thoughts about maybe continuing playing. Who knows? I had this hand surgery that I wasn't able to recover from for like a little over a year.
Wow.
In terms of like being able to like fully grip the racket and handle the stress of like a higher level ball. And so I kind of ended on the injury reserve, but so I didn't play tennis for a long time. And I really haven't played any competitive tennis since then. I'll hit here and there, and I love to do that. Maybe I'll play in like a member guest tournament around town or something like that. But for myself, doing like the competitive tennis thing was pretty punctuated there.
Okay. Go ahead.
We may not be segueing yet, but this isn't, for me, a really just blessing and fortunate segue from tennis into pickleball. This is where pickleball comes in.
Okay.
Because I can play pickleball all day long, don't have any hand issues, and just can do all the stuff that tennis let me do. I can compete, I can be on a team, I can da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
So,
okay,
yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So when you graduate, so you then are also working toward your professional, to establish yourself professionally,
yes.
right? And your choice of jobs out of college was in the financial world, or did you? Okay.
So should I?
Yeah. I'd love to know.
So it was at a company called Morgan Keegan, like
okay.
a local investment bank, and I'd like to say that I was I was so thoughtful, and I was just such a hustler in my studies and in my prep for that job, but I really just kind of got lucky, and I'll shout him out, Robert Ladyman.
Yeah.
He was an alumni of Memphis Tennis, and he really helped me understand what that world was, and he helped me like get a foot in the door and that sort of thing. So
a networking
thing from tennis got me in that door, which again, I talked about tennis being a different world that I didn't understand, but I thought was interesting when I got into it. This was like a professional version of that. And so I got in, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just crazy. And I'm interested in it, but I don't know anything about it.
Right.
And so I did that for a couple years. And then I thought, okay, I want to try on some, I want to keep pushing myself. And then I moved to New York, and I worked at a Wall Street firm in New York.
Ooh,
and that was
totally forgot about that.
That was a whole challenge. And that was a thing that it was kind of like going from junior tennis to college tennis. It was like, a just different level of intensity and demands.
Right. Like long hours and lots of stress, but then the excitement and the energy of New York City.
And that
after being in Millington and Memphis.
And like, to me, working downtown in Memphis at that, cool spot that Morgan Keegan operated in was like, fancy living.
Right.
But then you go to Manhattan and it's like, wow. Yeah, that was a big thing. So I did that, and then but
meanwhile, you're not playing tennis. Are you doing now? I'm guessing you were doing something physical because you're in great shape now, and I've always known you to be very fit. But was it just going to the gym, or were you running, or were you playing tennis in New York, or what was happening there? Or did you have time?
I didn't have as much time as I would have liked, and I do feel like I kind of took my foot off the gas in terms of prioritizing my health and doing sports and just using that part of myself, and that's kind of a big reason that I got to a point where I felt like that amount of professional intensity is great, and I appreciate that I've done it, but I think I want to take a step back and have more of a balance so I can play tennis and play pickleball.
Been there, done that, but there's more to life than getting up and going to work and going home.
And so, exactly. And so here I am, I'm still in the financial industry, I'm a financial advisor, but I can do it in a way that gives me the balance that feels better for me.
And you're working for a local investment firm, is that what you call it? Mm-hmm. Investment firm called Beacon Point. And I know this because y'all are so graciously and generously a sponsor of one of the big leagues at one of the really great indoor facilities that we have here called Bluff City Pickleball.
Exactly.
And so every day when I go to play there or go to teach there, I see the Beacon Point sign and it makes me smile, and I think about you.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, because that league was really cool. So there's so many things I want to come back to, but I like going in this kind of chronological order because along the way, you're changing and you're learning new things that I just love to understand how those things then come back into play in your life today.
Yeah.
So you moved back to Memphis. What year is that?
Man, maybe 2017, 18.
Okay.
And I mean, should I just keep it real with you? Okay. So this is a time when my parents they both had gotten diagnosed with cancer. So they both were going through it, and
together at the same time.
And they needed help. And, I was at this fork in the road with okay, I'm not sure I want to organize my whole life around my job. Also, my parents need some help and they're sick. And so I feel like I need to step in that way. And so that kind of was a catalyst to move back to Memphis and go from there.
Wow. Very selfless. What you do as a child when your parents were young.
They were young. I always say, things happen. They were too young. I think they were too young.
Your dad was older than your mom by a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, but not a lot. But so they're both in poor health, and you come back to Memphis and you get a job. The first job back in Memphis with Beacon Point, or other jobs along the way. Other jobs along the way.
I would say there was a period from my late 20s. I'm 35 now, so 4 or 5 years where I was I was doing it. I was doing a little bit of everything. I was doing working a little bit here and a little bit there, coaching some tennis, just trying to see what I wanted to do going forward. And then trying to balance the weight and the time of my parent situation with, just the rest of my life. So I don't even know what the first thing I did was. I did a lot of different stuff between in that period.
And then you take care of your parents and you lose your parents.
I lost both my parents within 6 months. And in some ways that was terrible. And in some ways it was helpful to me because it felt helpful to my mom, who was the second to go, because she kind of felt I feel like she kind of felt like I can't do it anymore. Mm-hmm. She had lived with cancer for a long time. And when my dad passed, that was I feel like she was kind of done too. Mm-hmm. And people say sometimes couples die from a broken heart or whatever. And it felt like that. Mm-hmm. It felt like that. Because my mom, you wouldn't know she had cancer for a long time, and she was doing the grandma thing, and she had so much energy for life and for people, and you kind of wouldn't know. Meanwhile,
I don't think I ever knew.
Meanwhile, she was getting chemo and a version of radiation for years, every few weeks.
Wow.
And I just really, I don't know. Maybe in some ways she's lucky that her body stayed strong enough. And in some ways she's just to be admired, because you never know. And
that's very admirable.
And then
she was maybe tired.
She was tired. Mm-hmm. I think she was tired. And then when my dad passed, who was her
rock,
she was like,
what's the point?
Yeah.
Except for that she and probably on some level, because I think they all do, and I think I even do, and I'm 50, about to be 54, and my children are 19 and 21. We don't ever want to be a burden to anybody that we love, because they've been there. Your parents were there with their parents, and I'm there with my parents right now. I just lost my dad in July. My mom is here and she's in good health, knock on wood. But I can see where your mom is you know what? I mean, I've had a great life. Casey's great. Your parents were so proud of you always growing up, and rightfully so.
Thank you.
And
very
I
much.
know they both were and are today, watching you and the rest of what you've accomplished. But I can see, and then I'm also kind of with you, it's almost nice because they're together, okay, they're together. And
I agree.
And I'm, okay, so you get through that, which,
that's a good way to say it.
You did that when you were in your 30s versus when we hope most of us are doing that, like me in my 50s, maybe even I'd love to be doing it in my 60s for my mother or whatever. But the reality is we all do it at some point. So that's behind you. And in a lot of ways you can say, okay, I've got the rest of my life to live, and you're still close with your siblings, and you see your nieces and nephews, and they're all active, and I know you're a great uncle. So then you get back to Memphis, and it's 2017 or 18, and we are just figuring out pickleball. Yeah. Right?
I do remember I sent you a Facebook message. I don't even know what I said. Something about like, hey, I know that you're like pickleball queen. This is a thing that seems interesting. I don't know anything about it. How do I start? And I think it still was like a number of months or maybe even a couple of years after I messaged you that we actually got together.
I think so too. And I hope I messaged you back.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. You probably like, you double, triple messaged me like, oh my God.
Knowing it was coming from you, but it seems like that was happening quite a bit, and so exciting, and it was growing. And so did you ever come play at Mid-South Pickleball Club? At the Racket Club where we had those painted courts?
I don't think so.
Okay, so when did we see each other? Or when did you actually start really getting involved in playing?
A couple, maybe 2.5 years ago. You had invited me out some. Rich Cho had invited me out some. Dean Petty had invited me out some. And, I didn't have this like long-term thought, like how to build a pickleball game and community and stuff. I just was going to play a fun thing with fun people. And
which is what most people think when they go to play pickleball.
Exactly.
And then what happens?
And then it's like, okay, if you got that competitive bug, well, there's an outlet. If you want to build a community, there's an outlet. And I don't know, just this really natural progression that checks so many boxes for me anyways. And
you reconnected with some of the people that were in your life during your tennis years.
Exactly.
I don't know if Dean was around maybe when I
Dean and Johan,
you knew all the tennis people anyway, and then there were those handful that were playing pickleball at that time.
That is interesting now. Because you would always, if you see him in the grocery store or whatever, you would say, hey Dean or hey Johan or whatever, and so you could cross paths in that way, but not in any sort of regular way until pickleball.
Right.
And then it's like, oh my gosh, I know these guys and I love these guys, and I get to see them now in a regular way, and that was an awesome thing.
Really awesome. I mean, that was one thing that I missed the first few years of pickleball. I would say, like, I love tennis. Tennis did so much for me in my life. I was forced a little bit into not being able to play tennis anymore from an injury, but then introduced to pickleball. And then the first few years, nobody else was playing pickleball, and they all thought I was crazy and had lost my mind, right? And so I'd say, I kind of miss, what I miss about not playing tennis is I miss my friends. Yeah. And now I can say like, oh, a lot of my friends.
Well, you just brought them with you. You just brought them with you.
I'm so glad they, to each his own as far as the timing, because if you can still play tennis and you're still loving tennis and you still have you're competing in tennis and whatever, it's great. And then at some point people are like, and they know the right time, but it's fun to see the little trickle of people that have started
definitely
reaching out. I ran into, I don't know if you ever knew Jenny Tankrell.
Like
she played on one of my, like a couple of USTA teams back in the day with me, Michael Ballard and that group. And she and her new husband are playing pickleball now. They have a 5-year-old. I'm like, that little girl's paying for college.
Yeah, exactly.
Pickleball.
Exactly.
She can do what we did, I think.
That will be an interesting thing to see if it becomes like a varsity sport.
I was going to ask you about that based on what you know about playing varsity sports in college and stuff. I believe it's happening sooner versus later. What do you think? It's
so hard to say. I feel like what can't be ignored is the growth of the sport, especially with young people. And I could totally see. I think it's a club sport in a number of schools already. Yeah. But I could totally see, in the same way that tennis became a varsity sport, or anything else becomes a varsity sport, I think pickleball could totally follow suit. I
think it'd be really interesting because I think that, I love because of what we've done with Picklemania. We've seen these kids in under-resourced communities and who don't have some of the opportunities that we were fortunate to have, to be introduced to tennis or whatever. And some of them aren't maybe athletic enough to play basketball or to
Totally.
play baseball or be good at baseball or to play football, or the females, the young girls are struggling for where to kind of get that physical, that endorphin high and the activity and all the health benefits, but also that competitive outlet. And so I feel like it could be a great opportunity for some of the kids who might not either otherwise be able to go to college maybe, or otherwise play a sport.
Totally
to
agree.
Potentially be very good at this sport.
Yes. With that, I think like what you'll see over time is pickleball is a sport where you don't have to have the same level of athleticism that you would in a basketball or a football or something like that to be really good. Over time, though, I think that athleticism gap will start to close, and the best players will be the best athletes.
You're probably right.
From sport to sport to sport. Like I think top tennis players would be amazing athletes in every domain that they go into. Same with top insert developed sport. You're going to have great athletes.
That's true.
Across the board.
I have not thought about that.
I think pickle is probably more skill based than some other things like basketball or football, and in that way you might not have to be as freakish, but I do think over time the best players are going to be great athletes, and
hopefully that low entry level barrier for pickleball maybe would at least get some people who might not have exposure to any sport some exposure that they would carry through their life, like you said, as a competitive hobby. That's always, we don't think about competitive hobbies as much because we played really high level competitive college sports and now are playing very high level adult sport recreational games, but competitively, like I hope that so many people, I do know for sure there are a lot of people who now do have that hobby that is physical, that is active, and then also bringing them into this community that they might not otherwise have had. It's getting a lot of people off the couch.
Totally agree.
Thank goodness.
And I don't. You're different because you are a bona fide pro and you make money off pickle in ways that very few people do. But for myself, I view pickleball as a competitive hobby.
Yeah.
And that feels like this interesting combination of it is an outlet that I can direct this competitiveness that just has to go somewhere. And it's also like kind of light.
Yeah. So fun, right?
Like my, tennis was the thing that I'm organizing my life around and getting all my identity from and da-da-da-da-da. Right. And now like pickle is just this, it's a hobby that I can do competitively, and that has a lot of benefits. Okay.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So what is competitive pickleball? What has it looked like for you in the last few years, maybe, that you once you really realized that you loved it, that you had people you could play with because you have all these skilled tennis players that and then you've met people like Tommy Gately or some of these other Austin Browns or some of these people that didn't play tennis and maybe other sports even, but now are very high level pickleball players. So what has that looked like? And then what are your kind of aspirations there?
So I'll answer the first part of the question because I think a lot of tennis players can relate to this. Like tennis snobbery is real.
Yeah, it is real.
And so it feels like if you have a tennis background, anything you do with a racket sport, you should have success at immediately. That's how it feels.
Right.
And then you go in to play pickleball against like some scrubs like Tommy or Austin or whatever, and they beat up on you and it's like, this isn't right. Something's not right. And then you just learn, pickleball is a different beast. Your racket,
different game. It's its own game, right?
Yeah. Your racket skills can't hurt, and of course they help you in different things like that, but it's a totally different skill set to be,
And you mentioned earlier that your hand, the surgery and everything didn't have any kind of negative impact on your ability to play pickleball.
Correct.
Why? So what about pickleball? Like maybe it didn't impact your ability to play recreational fun, hit around tennis, but you couldn't have played the kind of high level competitive tennis that you wanted to. But now transitioning into pickleball, it's not as much of an issue. And why?
So I think the weight of the ball is different. The weight of the racket, the weight of the ball, and the amount of force at impact that goes into your hand and your arm.
You don't know, you don't feel it?
I don't feel it. I don't think it's comparable to how it feels to hit a heavy tennis ball. And in that way, like, yeah, I don't know, you know, knock on wood that I don't feel it at any point, but so far I haven't even had, I have no issues.
Good. And that's kind of what we hear too. Like, people with shoulder issues can play pickleball. People like me with knee issues can play pickleball. People with, you know, back injuries and things, they can get around in that 10 feet that they have to cover on that 20-foot wide court, right?
Yes.
So that's such a blessing and a gift as we get older.
You had a second part of your question.
Oh, the other part. So the last few minutes that you've been playing competitively.
Yeah.
Since you felt like you were ready to like sign up for a tournament.
Yeah.
Like that was what, 2 years ago or 3 years ago or something?
A couple years ago, I think.
And so have you played tournaments out? Like, I know you've played money balls or, you know, these like local things. And you were so gracious to play and help out with our fundraiser for Picklemania, which we appreciate.
That was a big
so
thing
much.
for me too. That was like one of my first outings. And that was
so fun.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, you're 33 years old. Is that what you're telling me right now? I almost fell out of my chair.
That's the truth.
Like, oh my gosh, I am old. Okay, so tell me about that. And then I want to talk about the Pro League a little bit. And then I want to hear like what your goals are.
Yeah. So for clarity, tell you about like my approach to tournaments.
Yeah.
Is that, okay.
When did you decide you wanted to sign up for a tournament, and how did you decide that?
Okay, so this is back to the tennis snobbery. So my one of my best friends and my roommate at the time and former teammate Cedric DeZuter.
Yeah.
He and I had played like this much pickleball, and we thought if we play together, if we play doubles, I mean, we're just going to do so good.
We're going to be Dave and Joe, the Dave and
Basically,
Joe of pickleball.
That's what we thought.
Which is very reasonable.
So I think our first tournament ever, we went to Nashville to play this big tournament. It was like some state tournament or something like that. All these people had entered, and we go and we play, and like, you know, luckily, I don't know, we had some success, and I think we make it to the semifinals. And then we got like just totally worked by this team that was like not tennis background at all. They were wearing like in this like, you know, no knocks to people that wear the calf socks or whatever. They had the calf socks on, had a freaking visor on. And I'm like, we're both like, this is not happening. But they kicked our butt. And so that was the first time that we were like, okay, we got humbled real fast. And, you know, when you have like so much of a tennis background, you can just see in like half a second the way someone does this or does this or feeds the ball. It's like, no. And we were wrong.
Didn't matter.
And we were very
because
wrong.
They knew how to dink.
They just knew how to play. Yeah, they knew how to dink. Like, they didn't make any unforced errors. I think one of them could like backhand poke or flick in a way that was just like blowing our minds.
Right. You're like, what was that?
Yeah. Because you will relate to this. This motion, to do this with your wrist in pickleball, that is like not, you would never do this in tennis.
Can you imagine trying to do that with your tennis racket?
It is, I can't explain to you how, and you probably takes so long to unlearn this.
Yes, it does.
And allow yourself to do this.
Yes, it does.
It is crazy to not put backspin on a backhand volley.
Right?
Not
have like a cocked wrist
Correct.
on every volley.
Correct.
Or forehand and backhand.
Totally. And so, you know, we do that, back to the question, we do that tournament and we had some success and we still probably thought we were better than we were, but we realized, oh my gosh, okay, pickleball is a totally separate thing. And then like some other things start happening. Some local tournaments happen. And like the Pro League, the very first time the Pro League happened for me a year or so ago that Rich put on, who, side note, similar to you, is like such a catalyst for the game of pickleball in Memphis. And I'm sure other places too, but like, you know, in a lot of ways, I'm not sure you realize how much of an impact you've had to grow in the game in Memphis. And in a lot of ways, I'm not sure Rich realizes how much of an impact he had on growing the game in Memphis, especially like higher level play based on that first Pro League.
Yep.
You know, I played in like a MLP tournament.
That was my idea, by the way, the Pro League. No, I'm just kidding. I just want to piss Rich off.
So
just kidding.
I played in this MLP. It was like a Memphis-based tournament with, it was like Memphis and surrounding folks.
Okay.
It was like I had just kind of maybe been like a 5-0 or something like that, or getting close to it, and folks you could see like, okay, there's some high level pickleball players out there. And so we had this MLP where there's the draft and all these good teams and all that stuff. And I remember feeling like it's a mixed bag on who's good and who's not or whatever. The Pro League happened. 6 weeks later-ish, there was another MLP. And the Memphis folks that played in that Pro League did so much better than they had done like just 7 or 8 weeks before. And like, it just totally opened my eyes to how much development happens in that Pro League.
Wow,
and
that's so interesting.
And I feel like, the guys that I was playing in that Pro League that I thought like, we're all kind of similar level. Then when we had that next MLP and folks from all around that came into town, I was like, oh, we're good.
Good.
Memphis is good.
So organizing something around the higher level players, I think sometimes people shy away from organizing for higher levels because they think higher levels, they got it. They got their group, they got their people, they're going to the tournaments or whatever. And not everybody can travel. Not everybody wants to travel.
Correct.
Not everybody even knows how to sign up for tournaments initially for pickleball, right? Because you've got all these different leagues, all these different PPA and APP and pickleball tournaments and UTR and all these different sites, right? And so it sounds like to me what you're saying is like making the effort that Rich made to put together something competitive for the higher level players impacted the community tremendously. Because even those ones that were kind of on the bubble got in with some of the ones that were better.
Yes.
They got better. Then those people that were pretty good had a weekly competitive situation that was being written down, which I think is different than, showing up for rec with your level, right?
Totally agree. And the team-based thing, there's some accountability to your partner and to your team and all that stuff. But yeah, that it was eye-opening to me how developmental that first Pro League was. So much so that I felt like the next year that came around, I wanted to be a part of it.
Okay, yeah, that was my
I wanted to help
question.
Rich.
What made you decide you wanted, because all of a sudden it was like Casey and Rich are putting together the Pro League, and I'm like, Casey's helping? This is going to be awesome. But he really needed somebody like you, just somebody to help him, obviously. Yeah. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
That's what made you want to do it. That's so cool.
And I'll say, I think I helped. I don't think he needed me. I think that he can do all that. Like he showed, he could do all that on his own. That's like a compliment to Rich. I think that he's an impressive guy. But I just wanted to be a part of something that I felt like benefited me a lot. And I wanted other people to be able to benefit from that too. And, any ways that I felt like I could help Rich and then help the community felt
And what did you all end up doing this year?
So we kind of took it and just, I feel like, leveled it up in terms of the quality of the players and the quality of the organization and, just the whole thing about it, I feel like was good in 2024 and was better in 2025.
Me too.
And
you added a whole challenger.
We added a whole challenger league, yeah. And
which, I mean, the people that were on the bubble and below are probably like, they're always thinking, I probably won't ever have an opportunity to do that, or I might not ever get to be a part of the Memphis Pro League, right? And then y'all just like made it happen so that twice as many people essentially got to participate.
Yeah. And I think that was as Rich and I were kind of like, doing the initial work and putting structures together and all that stuff, all these people are expressing all this interest. And we're like, man, I think that we're going to be well over capacity for one league. And I think that on the one hand, that's not great because, we want everybody to be able to play. On the other hand, that's an opportunity to create this second league.
So you had one night a week.
We had one night a week, another night a week. And
how many teams in each of those two leagues? The second year of the Premier, what you're now calling the Premier League, and the first year of the Challenger League.
There were, I'll say, 90 players in total. 60 in the Premier League, 6 teams of 10, and then 6 teams of 5 in the Challenger League. And who knows? Maybe it will continue to grow, and maybe Challenger will be twice as big this year. I don't think there's been any sort of like nothing set in stone in terms of how to organize those leagues and if we're going to do it the same way and all that stuff. But I believe that as much good as the first one did, the second one did good too, and that the community just kind of continued to grow. So,
and
we'll
I felt like this year too, a lot of people came and watched.
A lot of people came and watched.
That is something that has really not been a thing necessarily until more recently. And playing in the league and looking upstairs and seeing like the whole window of the mezzanine full of people watching these matches, and then people down on the courts and stuff. Yeah. Do you feel like was so cool?
Do you feel like you do better when you see people watching? And
I like it's a good. I mean, sometimes I get a little anxious because some of those people watching are like my students. Yeah. And fortunately for me, I always preface everything with like, do as I say, not as I do. Totally. Because I'm not exactly sure all the time what I'm doing out there, and they're watching me, and I feel a little bit anxious about that sometimes. But I also know how good it is for them to get to see that higher level of play, and for them to see like, oh wow, my coach is pretty good, and then there are these other coaches that are playing, and maybe I'd like to take a lesson from him or her or them, and I love that. Like, I think everybody should take lessons from different people. But the fact that people are taking pickleball lessons at this point is such a cool thing. But I felt like the vibe, the energy, all of that. I've played a lot of tournaments, and there was as much energy in that environment for the Pro League as anything I've played, with the two exceptions were our NPL probably and the World Cup that I just played in.
That's awesome.
But otherwise, like any APP or any other tournament I've played in, there's never been that kind of, for me, for a senior pro. I mean, there's that around the pros now. Yeah. But the thing I also really love about the Pro League is that I was there and I was eligible to play at 53, and there were like 18, 19, 20-year-olds there also. Like now at this point I compete with 50 plus people primarily or exclusively. I prefer that. Yeah. But I got a lot better from the first week to the last week because I was exposed to the pace and the serves and the variety and the guys really moving a lot. And a lot of times it was 3 guys and me, right? I was the only girl on it. There was like 3 or 4 girls in the league altogether. So like that was really challenging and fun. So I look really forward to next year.
Me too.
And seeing what happens with it and how much growth there is. And I would encourage anybody listening, like, if this is something that sounds like we have great hats, like we have a logo and everything. Like if there's ever a time when somebody else is interested in doing something like this, I think, and I shouldn't speak for you, but would you be open to helping somebody maybe somewhere else in another city, or at least sharing your format and whatever?
Definitely. And, I like the Memphis Pro League is pretty established now as a good league. But, it started out of nothing like any other league does. Right. And so I think Rich and I are both totally open to just growing the community. And
you had people coming from outside of Memphis.
And right? I think that can just expand.
So people came from where? Like where all the
people came from Oxford, people came from Jackson, people came from Little Rock. And
Jonesboro, maybe.
Jonesboro, and then everywhere kind of in between. I mean, it's a little difficult to think that folks would come from further than that because it's on a weeknight and people have life to do. Right. But I mean, that in itself is like, interestingly, people will travel for good play, and especially, this is just my observation in the Pro League, for high level play. Mm-hmm. And I feel like and so that combination, I feel like that's a very field of dreams thing. If you got high level, if you got teams, if you got structure, if you build that, they will come.
Ooh, I love that.
And that's like, that can be built anywhere. Bluff City has happened to host that the last couple of years. This is a call to action and an encouragement for anybody anywhere to,
no matter how many courts you have.
No matter how many courts.
I mean, we all are working out off of 6 courts essentially.
Yep.
And so, okay, well, we can't do all the people on one night, so we'll just create 2 leagues, and we'll do one on 6 courts on Tuesday night, one on 6 courts on Thursday night. And the club, of course, is benefiting from that. There are people coming in who are not members maybe yet at that particular facility. There's a fee to be there to participate in the league, and a part of that goes to the facility. It's a really great win-win. And there are a lot of 3-0-3-5 leagues in the world.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have those as much and most cities don't, I don't think. I mean, I know we have some friends who are in Florida and they have a money ball or something every Monday night, but that's kind of, I would think, pretty rare, you know, for there to be an organized something that often, that frequently for our level of play.
Yeah, I think that is more rare. Sorry, and this TMI, but I just had like a sardine burp. I'm really sorry if that made it all the way over to you.
So Casey was telling me of his newest favorite healthy snack.
It's definitely not my favorite healthy snack.
He's like, I don't know if I can sit next to you for the podcast. I didn't, but do not worry. Okay, but so let's talk about your physical fitness, because I want to know if, first of all, how much time are you spending playing pickleball, you know, typically, a typical week, and I know I happened to run into you the other night drilling with another friend of ours who was on the podcast last episode, Zoya. Yep. And how much you're still in the gym, and if your workouts have changed over the course of time to benefit your pickleball. Yeah,
this is a great question. And like, I totally nerd out to this type of question, like all the time.
To ask you.
So, I mean, in terms of like pickleball in a week, I think I, on a regular basis, will do like an hour drills once a week, and then do a games once a week. And so I'll be on the court twice a week, one for drills, one for games. And that to me feels like a good, I'm excited both of those times that I go out there. And it still feels like I could be playing more pickleball and like liking it more. So it's kind of like, I'm trying to think about the way to describe that. It's like, I feel like I'm pickleball dieting in a way, and I want to do more,
right? But
that feels fun. And
so do you have a fear of burnout?
I don't know if it's a fear. I just like, I'll skip ahead a little bit to an aspirations question.
Yes.
I think my biggest aspiration with pickleball is for it to remain joyful. And I just really want to protect how enjoyable pickleball has been in all the ways. In
all the ways. So all the ways. So let's touch while we're right here on the people in your life way.
Yeah.
One person in particular.
Yeah. So
Tell us.
I don't.
Casey's getting married. Casey's getting married.
I was going to say, you're about to lead the witness here. Yeah, no, pickleball is a great outlet.
Goosebumps.
Pickleball is a great outlet for us. Like, I think it's fun to play together. It's fun to practice together. It is like part of like how we kind of started to grow our relationship together.
Like it was a date, like you went on a date to hit pickleball? Because she's a great athlete too, right?
She's a great athlete.
She played a sport in college, or she just played a sport growing up?
She played all the sports growing up.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not like I'm saying, like I'm a total pickleball nerd, and I will credit to Ava. She's not as nerdy about it as I am. I say credit to her. Sometimes I act like that's like a fault of hers, that she doesn't love pickleball as much as I love pickleball. It's not.
It's a balancing act.
She holds it.
It's a balance. It's a yin and a yang a little bit, but it's still super enjoyable for y'all to do it together.
Totally.
And you love helping her get better, and she loves watching you train and get better. And, and she's good enough that y'all can play together, which is really cool.
We're playing this Friday. We're playing in a few days together with another guy and another girl who are competitive, and I'm super excited about that.
That's like a date, like a double date.
It's like a date. See,
I just love that.
Yeah.
But I also know that if it were my husband that I was going on the double date with and playing pickleball with, we would probably not make it out of that date without like there being some serious like either cuss words or beatings or something.
Yeah.
You have a personality, I think, that.
You say that. Ava has a personality to really like to be boyfriend, girlfriend, fiancés, and pickleball partners in just a very like stable way. And
it keeps the perspective.
And I struggle with that more than she does. So any like challenge that we would have like in our relationship based on our pickleball partnership would be a me problem.
Yeah.
Well,
what did you say when you first got here? Like,
what did I say?
I said, meet my dog May.
Yeah.
She's very friendly, but she's a little neurotic. And you said,
in some ways I can relate to that.
Say that about me, and I thought it was classic.
In some ways I can relate to that.
And and so in pickleball, when it comes to being a little bit neurotic, are you a studier of it? Do you watch videos and follow people, or do you just?
Yeah, and
is that a good way for you to learn?
It is, and it's a thing that like early on, I would have rolled my eyes at and thought that that's like so lame and da 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 da.
You never did that in tennis, really.
I didn't do that. I wasn't
we
that type
watched
of
the slams, and we were like, "Go Roger" or whatever. But we didn't like. I at least didn't.
In some ways, that instruction, like you can like watch an Instagram reel now and like get a great nugget in a way that you never really could do that with tennis, or at least
nobody was doing it.
Nobody was doing it. Nobody was doing it.
The social media thing wasn't as big for us growing up.
Maybe. Yeah.
I wonder if people are doing it now. I'm not following.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm not either.
Sorry, but.
And in some ways, I feel like I just am more thoughtful these days than I was when I was like 20 years old. Mm-hmm. And so pickleball is something that I like playing, and I like improving at it.
Yeah.
And it only makes sense that you would study it a little bit. I remember my dad growing up. My dad got into tennis late and all that stuff, and he would read Tennis Magazine, and it would always have like a tip or two like that you would read. This is not an Instagram reel.
No,
this is
an article.
Hey, when you toss your toss, keep your left arm out or whatever. Like, and he would just try to get me to read like a blurb, and I would be like, I'm not interested in that. I play the game. I don't read the game.
Right.
And that was so like short-sighted or whatever. I mean, probably not uncommon for somebody my age.
No, not at all.
But now I'm like, yeah, I like playing. It's a meaningful thing to me, and so might as well get good at it. And one way to do that is to study it a little bit.
So what's the future hold for you for pickleball? Well, you want it to stick around.
Yeah.
You want to be long-term in the game. Yeah. You want to maintain your what are you doing in the gym? Okay,
so in the gym, part of the reason for only doing pickleball twice a week is so that I can have like a balance. And part of the balance is because I feel like if I played pickleball as much as I wanted to play pickleball, my body would burn out in a fast way. Mm-hmm. I would get an injury in a faster way than if I have a little bit more balance. And so I'll do some form of other cardio once, like I'll do a tennis or I'll do like a gym thing just to kind of keep my fitness up a little bit. Even though I could do better at that, my fitness is not great in that way. And then I like to do maybe a day or two of like some full body lifting. And one thing I'm doing now more than ever that I feel like is benefiting me like in the present and then hopefully in the long term, I do a lot more mobility stuff.
Like with bands and stuff like that, or
like not, but like what comes to mind is like a hot yoga.
Oh.
And so like, and so just getting in like, I don't know, difficult positions that are at like the full range of motion for a joint and being able to like have stability there is something that I feel like, one, it helps me the next couple of days get into better positions on the pickleball court. And two, I feel like it's going to help me longer term to just stay on the court.
The balance. And
yeah,
I know. I really should be doing that. But.
So
you go to a class?
I go to a hot yoga class every now and then. I should go more. I don't go as much as I could or should, but I'll like play pickleball a couple times a week, maybe play tennis once a week, go to the gym a couple times a week. And in those gym sessions, I'm like emphasizing mobility. Yeah,
because but in your mind, you're like, this motion mimics this on the pickleball court, or this motion might help, or this mobility exercise could potentially make me better at pickleball.
Yeah.
I love that.
And like, somebody like you, as much pickleball as you play, you're going to be real strong in your calves, in your quads, and in the front of your hip flexors. Yep. But in your hamstrings and your butt and your low back,
that's a problem.
You might need to balance that out in some ways. And so I don't feel like I'm like,
you sound like John Nelson today.
So
he just said that to me today.
And, injuries happen, and then it's like, well, I felt like I was doing good. I'm staying active. I feel strong. And it's not as much about being strong. It's more about being balanced.
It is a lot about being balanced, isn't it?
You could be the strongest, senior pro female pickleball player out there in the ways that you're strong. But if you're too imbalanced, injuries around the corner.
It's just I experienced it, this past year. I mean, my hamstring tore, and there's a reason for that. We're very front loaded as far as strength. Some from tennis, some I think we have a hard time hinging because of sitting so much. People sit a lot more now, and there are a lot of things that are impacted, I think, by that.
Yeah.
All right, so so you and Ava are going to have a future together in pickleball. You probably have some little pickleball people maybe one day. Love that. All right, what about for Casey? The last question, because I know I've had a lot of questions for you. I told you we were going to have like 3 or 4 maybe, but we've had a lot. But it's been so fun. But what do you want to do? What's the goal? Other than maintaining and continuing, which I think is a really, really very valid, very good goal. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. Yeah. My goals, sometimes I'm like, what am I thinking? Yeah. I just love going and playing with my friends. Yeah. Why am I? But I know that the day will come when I know that I don't necessarily need to be out there at every, playing NPL or playing whatever. What would you like to do? And do you think those would change after 50?
That's a great question. I
want you. I'm going to own an NPL team one day. You're going to be on
Please
it.
draft me. Please draft me.
I would love that.
So when I think about earlier, and I'm like picking on a word that you used, maintain. For me, the only thing I want to maintain is the joy of it. I'm not a good, keep it super light and just play to play kind of guy. No. I have to push, and I have to feel like I'm getting better. And it feels like such a blessing that pickleball gives me an opportunity to be competitive and push and improve at something.
And have that growth mindset.
I'm
never going to know everything about pickleball. I'm never going to finish my education or my work around anything, not around finance, not around pickleball, not around marriage, not around children or life in general.
You name
right?
it. Yeah.
So tell me what is the biggest thing you could say from your tennis background, which I think when I heard the transition from high school to college, big change as far as life direction and time management. What about from working for 6 or 7 years in the professional arena and being introduced to a new sport? It is a new sport. Your tennis translates in your overhead, and that's about it, in my opinion. Yeah. And then now that you've been introduced to this, what are you taking off the pickleball court? I think you bring a lot onto the pickleball court. You're so encouraging. You're really positive. You're very motivated, and you're very intense in a way that inspires other people. What are you taking from the court, do you feel like, back into your life? What has pickleball taught you? So,
okay, I'm gonna try to answer a 2 for 1 here. I'm gonna talk a little bit about what pickleball has given to me, and then I'm gonna talk about the final place that I want to go with pickleball. Okay. A thing that I think is my final place for now, and that may change. So pickleball has given me a community in a way that it's a lot more difficult to build community, especially doing healthy things community as an adult with a full life than it is as a high school person or a college person. And so, this is not like a knock to any, but when you go, if you're going out and about and you're doing the food and the drink thing and all that stuff, there's groups that get, and as a preference for someone as a preference for just a healthy outlet and being able to build community in that outlet. Pickleball has given me that. So
friends and fiance and the relationships that you were used to having through tennis. And then so tennis was gone. I have got my work life, and then after I might go to the gym or whatever. It's a lot more difficult to build a community at your gym when you're going and hitting the squat rack than it is when you're going and playing in the pro league. Right. And so it has given me a community. And here's my second part of this twofer.
shameless plug, Beacon Point Advisors. So Beacon Point Advisors is my employer. It's a local RIA. We're a wealth management firm. And what I really want to do long term is be able to find this intersection between pickleball, this community that I love and gives me an outlet that I feel such blessings for, and my work. So building a client base and some relationships professionally that I can share pickleball with also. Maybe some pickleball partners or, colleagues of mine can be clients of mine. Maybe some clients of mine can meet me on the pickleball court. Just having this like shared network and shared community. So maybe some of my clients can meet some of their friends on the pickleball court and they didn't even know they were.
Right. You're connecting the dots between what you love to do professionally and what you love to do personally.
100%. And so that's said a lot more simply and elegantly than I was saying it. But well,
what about the event you had when you brought out your clients? That was so fun.
Totally. And so this is like, when I talk to my colleagues at work and my clients, I'm like totally pinned and pegged as pickleball guy. And that's totally fine with me.
Totally.
I love that. Like I love to cross over into my competitive hobby, into my profession. And I feel like there's a lot of positivity there. So growing my community and growing my profession in ways that have positive overlap is like a really aspirational long-term goal of mine.
And you know what? I think that just brings more joy, more people, more joy to more people.
Yeah.
And then more joy in people to you.
Totally. And you know this, like if you meet someone, you don't know anything about them, and you happen to learn that they really love pickleball and they happen to be really good at it, you can connect with them so quickly in so many ways that if you didn't know that, or if you didn't share that, you wouldn't be able to.
Right.
And so this like building of like a shared outlet and a shared experience is like just kind of a win-win.
Well, and we talk a lot. So I was going to bring back up the networking thing because, the tennis, I always said tennis opened so many doors for me, and I met so many people. And I don't know that I think the generation growing up now recognizes how valuable networking is and how important the relationships are as a young person going on the pickleball court with an older person, or going and meeting a group of people to play or whatever, who might one day come back to you and say, hey, I've got a job for you, or I've got an opportunity for you, or I'd like to pay you to help me make one of my dreams come true, right? Because you're really good at social media, or you're really good at the things right? And so what you've touched on, and I think we talk about a lot in our Pickleball with Purpose curriculum, is how important connectivity is. There's nothing in life if you're not connected, whether it's to pickleball friends, work friends, both, family, whatever. We all need that connectivity to be healthy and happy and to live really long, hopefully very fruitful, joyous lives. And that's why we're here, because pickleball has been that piece of the puzzle for us, for a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
And I am grateful and thankful every day that I get to play pickleball and talk about pickleball, and that I get to do it with you. I love you. Thank you. Mwah. Thanks for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.